Welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. This is Rav, your host. I hope everyone is well wherever you are in the world. This is a bit of a milestone episode. Not only is it my 50th episode on the channel, to mark the occasion, I've got a very special guest with me, a gentleman by the name of Mark from Arsenal Unfiltered. I'm going to bring him into the conversation. Mark, how you going today, mate?
Brilliant, Rav, and I did not realise this is your 50th episode, so congratulations. That's really cool and an honour to be on for your 50th.
Mate, thank you so much. So for our listeners who aren't familiar with you, I'm going to throw to Mark in a moment to introduce himself and let us know his Arsenal story and his background supporting this wonderful club. And then Mark and I are going to launch into a couple of topics, including Viktor Gyökeres, pre-season in general, and some lessons learned and what we're predicting Arsenal can do this season. And we're a bit mindful of time because I've got Mark here before work, so he's very kindly donated this time to our recording, and then I need to let him get on with his day. So for those who don't know, this will be the second part of our interview, our recording with Mark, and you'll find the first one. All the links will be in the show notes. You'll find the first part of this recording on Mark's channel. So I'm going to throw to Mark. Mate, you reside in London, and I'm sure you've got a unique Arsenal story. How did you first get involved in supporting the club?
Well, I mean, like you say, this is part two. In part one, you told us a really amazing story about how you started to get involved in the club all the way from Melbourne. I lived in my childhood about 30 minutes from the stadium, so it's not quite as extravagant. It is simply a case of my brother supported Arsenal and my dad is a Stoke City fan. And I was like, well, I'm not going to support them. And I'm so close to the Emirates that I'm going to support Arsenal along with my big brother. So yeah, we started, and I started in the glory years with Arsenal, you know, in sort of probably my first early memories are sort of the 98, 99 seasons and stuff like that. Yes. And then the first painful memory I really remember is the Michael Owen FA Cup final. That was difficult.
That one still gets me, mate. It still gets me. Yeah.
Painful. Yeah.
We had them on toast, right? We had them and then we botched it. But yeah.
We did. We really botched that one. Yeah. But, you know, I was born into the glory years, thankfully. And that's my Arsenal story. I've been going to games whenever I can since. And I just absolutely adore the club and everything it stands for.
Mate, that's fantastic. And when did you start your channel, your podcast, your recording?
October last year. So coming up close to 9 months now. So yeah, it's still going strong. Fantastic. Have to admit, summer's been harder. It's easier when there's games flying about, but looking forward to the season starting again.
Yes, no, I do know what you mean. I do know sometimes it can be a matter of just finding stuff to talk about or record. And look, maybe that's one of the positives of just the information bombardment we're in now. We're in that era, right? There's always a topic. There's always something to discuss or something that you can just, you know, expand on. But look, mate, nothing compares to the real stuff, the actual matches, the games. And speaking of which, we're only 2.5 weeks away from that match at Old Trafford. How do you feel? How do you feel in general? And look, I should note that we are recording this Thursday evening, just a couple of hours before kickoff of the match against Spurs in Hong Kong. So we don't know the result of that one as yet. But we do have a couple of other matches that we can perhaps just talk to. Mark, I'd love to hear your thoughts just in general about the match against Milan last week, and then just a few days ago to finish off the Singapore leg against Newcastle, mate. What have you taken away from what we've seen so far?
Oh, okay. What have I taken away from what we've seen in pre-season so far? I mean, last pre-season, we saw Ethan Nwaneri come through. We saw Miles Lewis-Skelly come through. And in my mind, that's sort of the Ethan and Miles pre-season. This is going to be the Max Dowman pre-season, isn't it? Yes. The kid is a joke. I mean, the one thing, I said this on my podcast last week, I didn't really doubt that he had talent in his boots. I thought, yeah, this kid, he can play when you see the clips of him. But what I wasn't expecting was a 15-year-old who is able to ride challenges the way Max Dowman is, who has the sense of balance that Max Dowman does. I think he looks very, very good. And in 3 years' time, this kid will be 18. So he's got 3 years of development before he is even really a man. Like, it's
Yes,
wild how
it
good he
is.
is. So
It,
that's definitely one thing I've learned. You mentioned the Manchester United game, and the other thing that I think I've learned from pre-season is we are still going to pay for last season's injury issues coming into the start of this season. We've not seen Timber yet. We've not seen Gabriel. That has me really quite worried, to be honest.
yeah,
I think Calafiori obviously came off in the Newcastle game. I think
yes.
we're going to continue to see issues. This isn't going to be a clean season, and hopefully players like Mosquera, Norgard, Madueke coming in will help protect us a little bit from that.
They are, yeah, protection. That's the right word. We need to mitigate these injuries. And sure, I know you've discussed this at length in your respective recordings, and as I have, and many others. Yes, there was a lot of bad luck involved with Arsenal's injuries, especially the cluster injuries, and just some freak of nature events. I mean, like how can you protect against one of Mikel Merino's first training sessions? He collides with
No,
Gabriel and
exactly.
this is just luck of the draw, unfortunately. But one thing Arsenal is culpable with is that we've got fatigue-induced injuries. I mean, remember all through January, almost every full-time whistle, Havertz has collapsed on the ground. I mean, it was staring us in the face, wasn't it? It was. There are some things that we can do to prevent, and I'm glad that it seems to me that the club has learned from this in not riding players into the dust. And even though Arteta has had, I think he's had quite the squad to choose from over a couple of seasons. But the longer the seasons goes, it just seems more and more players are sort of squeezed on the outer, leaving the likes of William Saliba playing every minute of every match. And we need to expand upon this trusted nature of who Arteta is going to utilise. And look, it's going to need to happen if we want to achieve what we all hope that we do this season. We are going to need to lean into that squad more. You mentioned Calafiori a minute ago, and I think it's worth just an extra minute on with of him, because when he plays, he's such a unique player. And I think we can all see the benefits he can bring, especially that element of chaos in an otherwise era of Arsenal where we were perhaps a bit too predictable and too easy to keep out. But him going down again the other day, I don't know the severity of it, but if it's a bit of a concern if this is a bit of a preview, if he's going to be one of those players who can come in and then just string together a few matches, but then he got another niggle and stuff. It's something to watch, especially with Gabriel still coming back into it. And it's one of the reasons why I've been vocal about we need to keep Kiwior, right? Because I do think we need that protection. This is a man who's always available. He's the type of player you need in your squad.
Yeah, I'm with you on Kiwior. He is Mr. Reliable right now, and actually, I think we are maybe, I don't know, we can be quite snobby as fans at times, I think,
Yes.
and the general we I'm referring to there of like, if a player isn't like a superstar, do they really belong at Arsenal? And actually, some of the players that we just referenced when I started supporting Arsenal, some of the players that got us over the line in that period were players like Gilberto Silva, players like Edu, who and players like, you might even throw Freddie Ljungberg into that. We don't remember them in the same way that we remember Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Robert Pires. But boy, were they important. And Jakub Kiwior fits that bill for me. He's not going to start every game, but when he comes in, he gives you a 7 out of 10, like no matter what. And that's so reliable in a squad. As far as Calafiori goes, I think that kid is ridiculously talented. Like he could be something very special. We've got to remember he is still really young, as handsome and as tall as he is. He's really young.
He's ridiculously good looking, isn't he?
He is.
Really is.
He's selling kits, that kid.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, he's still only 22, 23 himself. That's very young for a centre half.
Yeah. So he's got time. He has got time to get on top of these issues. But you're right, Rav. It is a problem, and it's one that we've got to make sure that we can cover off.
So, Michael, we'll just finish off the chat around pre-season, noting there's the Spurs match to come tonight. I think, in general, I'm a little bit uneasy about these matches against Premier League clubs. That was a very spicy match against Newcastle, right? Some hard challenges coming in. You've already mentioned Dowman, but they like that. It was a bit of thuggery from Joe Linton whacking him in the face, and full credit to Dowman. Gets up. He absolutely destroyed him again to win that penalty. It was just a thing of beauty to watch. But I can't imagine it's going to be a placid affair tonight against Spurs. I mean, there's always that feeling in it. What's your take on it's that balance between we obviously need we need match preparation and genuine match preparation. There's a commercial nature to these tours, like they're very lucrative, especially playing Premier League clubs. What's your take on it? Like when I'm watching these matches, I'm grimacing every time there's a 50-50 and I watch wherever the ball goes. I'm not watching it. I'm watching the players. I'm saying, get up, please get up, don't be hurt. Trossard copped a few the other night as well. And what's your take?
So I'll preface this take with I'm very aware that I'm one of the lucky ones in that I can get to Arsenal games. I can get tickets. It doesn't take me long on the train to get there. So like I'm lucky that I'm able to go and see these big games. I went to the Man City 5-1 game last year, and I'm very conscious that fans around the world don't necessarily get to see these huge games.
Yes.
And so it's a great thing for fans around the world that we are playing Newcastle, AC Milan, Spurs, rather than like,
yes.
Patched together 11s where Arsenal don't play full strength teams. That's a really good thing. So that's my preface. My real take is I hate it.
Yes. Yep. No, I get it.
For me, a North London derby is blood and thunder. There is no friendlies. There is nothing that should, whether it's pre-season or not, there is nothing that is more important in the Arsenal sphere than beating Tottenham. Like that is number one. And I find it very, very difficult to put that into a pre-season context where you're right, Rav. You want everyone to stay fit. You want everyone to survive and come out well on the other side. But it's very hard to separate that in a North London derby. Similar with Newcastle. I don't like Newcastle. They've created this kind of false narrative rivalry with us. And I don't really understand why they've done that, but it has been effective for them. Of course, they've got a good record.
And frustratingly, like they do have that they had the wood over us. They beat us 3 times last season. And that was annoying. That second leg of the Carabao Cup when the tie was done and dusted. That last 45 minutes, so that was awful. St James's Park was rocking. The fans were baying for blood, and they really enjoyed it, and it was a tough watch. So yes, it's quite a spicy rivalry, isn't it? Just within the last sort of 18, 24 months, and it's bizarre. So, Mark, I'm mindful of time and how much time we have left. You donating very generously to the channel before work. So, I was going to come to 2 main topics left. We just want to talk in general about some lessons learned from last season, what we'd like to see done differently from Arteta. Before then, we have to talk about Viktor Gyökeres. I'd love your take on part 1 of this recording. We referenced him, of course, and just how good it is to get the transaction done. I think many of us within the Arsenal fan base recognise that this was not a player that we perhaps anticipated joining Arsenal. We thought it would be Benjamin Sesko. Well, even before that, Alexander Isak seemed to be the most coveted player, but for many reasons he's off the table. What's your take on Gyökeres? And now that we finally got this transaction done, what do you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for transparency, I was Team Sesko a little bit. I wanted Sesko at the start of the summer. I just thought he's a little bit... There's risks with both players. Both are unproven, but in different ways. And I thought Sesko was the lower risk option of those unproven options. That being said, that was sort of like... That wasn't a huge preference. It was like a 1% preference.
Yes,
I'm still delighted that we've got Viktor Gyökeres.
Yes.
What do I think he'll bring? Listen, this guy can run a defender down. And one thing, we might come on to it a little bit in the lessons learned bit. One thing we need to do a lot more is transition on teams. Teams love to transition on us, but we like to win the ball back, set our rest defense, and go from there.
Yes.
Viktor Gyökeres, I don't think he's going to be too interested in rest defense. Viktor Gyökeres will be on his bike the moment we have the ball.
Yes.
allowing us to transition. And I don't know if you saw it, The Athletic did a brilliant little graph on the direction Viktor Gyökeres likes to run. And he does a lot of forward running, very little coming deep to get the ball, but he does a lot of lateral running as well, especially out to that left-hand side, loves to peel off and then drive up that channel. And for me, we saw at the end of last season, Saka start to come inside more, Martinelli start to come inside more. If we can get Viktor Gyökeres switching with those two players in and out, just like Jesus did in the 22-23 season with Martinelli, if we can get them switching, I think those three players could score an absolute hatful of goals. So I think he's going to bring running power. I think he's going to bring directness. And I do think he'll bring goals. I don't think he'll bring 50 goals a season, but I think he'll bring plenty.
Yep, absolutely. That's a brilliant answer, Mark. And just on that last point, like I think we all understand that we're not going to expect to see that same ridiculous scoring level brought in from Portugal. It's just not feasible, right? And I also think there's an understanding that we don't need. We're not looking for 45, 50 goals. We're not looking for that Haaland style output because Arsenal, we're damn good, right? We really are. I know this I know it may not appeal to everyone that sort of conclusion, but we what we're lacking is just converting from draws to wins or finding that extra goal in matches, so we can kill a game off. That we can just take some players off. We can mitigate some injuries. So what we're looking for is not something we're not. This is not like a tear up the project and start again. Gyökeres is the type of signing that we need to find that extra 15, 20 goals across the season, right? Because ultimately that's where we fell short last season. 21 points dropped from winning positions, right? Like this is we're so close, and that's the part that maybe that's the part that hurts the most, knowing that we're almost there, but we can't quite climb that final mountain. So I'm really excited to see Gyökeres coming into the club. You touched on a great point, which, in mindful of time, Mark, you've got a couple of minutes to finish. This last point off. Yep. In terms of lessons learned, I mean, you've already half covered it. Arsenal moving the ball with a bit more intent, with a bit more speed. I think we maybe just sometimes misrepresent what speed is. Speed doesn't mean how fast you can sprint. Sure, that's one aspect to it. Speed means ball movement, how quickly we can transition from front to back instead of going sideways or taking 3 or 4 touches when 1 or 2 would do. And I think Zubimendi is instrumental in that. I've heard you talk about him before, Mark. I think he goes hand in hand with what you were just referencing about where Gyökeres is going to be positioning himself. I think Zubimendi is pivotal.
Yeah, and I'd throw Madueke into that as well. If you look at the 3 big transfers we've done this summer, we have done Viktor Gyökeres, who is an off-the-ball runner. We have done Madueke, who is a ball carrier. And we've done Martin Zubimendi, who can play aggressive, risky balls through. I think we have signed specifically to address that issue with our play last year of how quickly can we turn the opposition around? And very, very importantly, can we catch them before they get into a low block? Can we catch them when they're not set? And those 3 players might really help us do that. Viktor Gyökeres especially, but the other 2 as well. I'm really excited. And, we need a little bit of Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp in our team. And I think we are going to start moving towards that style of football again.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned Madueke, and I know we touched on his fee in the first part of this. He's going to play a lot. I mean, we all don't have to like it. I understand that, but he's an Arsenal player now. It's signed. I think the temperature is dialed down now, thankfully, around him, and we just got to support him because that size of transaction that's not a backup price, right? Like this is a player who's been brought in with some senior first team minutes in mind, and when we've heard Arteta talk about that tiered system that he's looking to move on from, so we're going to see a lot of Madueke as well. And look, it's exciting times to be an Arsenal fan because we've seen the club actually act now after some years of maybe some indifferent decisions in the transfer window. I think we've actually acted, and thankfully, from what we're hearing and seeing, the business, it doesn't look finished just yet. So watch this space. We covered Eberichieze chat on your channel, so please viewers, go and check that out. Mark, how are you for time? You're giving me the wind up. You're about to start work. Is that right?
About to start work, but if I could make one point on Noni Madueke before we finish.
Sure.
I have no doubt that Noni Madueke is a really good player. And I think he might come on to be a great player. I don't think he'll be like sensational world class, but I think he could be really good for Arsenal. So you're quite right. Now that he's here, he's not a Chelsea player anymore. The fee is irrelevant now. It's done. It's dusted. We have to support him. I think it's a really, really important point because he's really good. And the only thing that can stop him from contributing this season to Arsenal, I think, is a lack of confidence. We saw it with Kai Havertz in the start of his career. We need to get behind him. That's as simple as that.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. Because like it or not, I mean, we're in an online world. The players are aware. The players are aware of this. I mean, we saw Ramsdale speak so candidly and openly in the Amazon documentary a few years back. I mean, like the players are aware. When players start switching off their Instagram comments and whatnot, I mean, this it just shouldn't be happening. Like you can have your viewpoint on it, and I know you've spoken your piece, and I have too. He wasn't someone who I thought was on the radar when Arsenal were looking to upgrade and seek more firepower. At some point, we got to get behind them and we've got to support them. And because if they're not feeling it, that there's so much more to than just going out there and stepping on the football pitch. If there's a whole mental well-being aspect to it too, and we need the players in their most fit condition, mentally and physically, and we just got to get behind them, and we'll see the best of them out on the pitch.
Completely agree.
Mark, thank you. I'm going to wrap this one up there. Thank you so much for giving me your time. For context, everyone, this is before Mark starts work, first thing in the morning, London time that we're recording this. By the time you're listening, you may have already seen the result of Arsenal and Spurs. I know you'll be tuning in, Mark, a bit later this evening. I sure will be over here in Bali. But just a very, very special thank you to everyone for tuning in, for getting me towards 50 episodes, on to the next 50. Mark, before we wrap up, please let everyone know where they can find you.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you for having me on, Rav. It's been a great morning chatting Arsenal with you. Really enjoyed both episodes we've done this morning. Everyone can find me, Arsenal Unfiltered. So on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, Arsenal Unfiltered's there. Blue Sky, Arsenal-Unfiltered at bsky.social. And I'm also trying some YouTube stuff. So if you prefer to see videos and stuff like that, it's up on YouTube. So you can find it, Arsenal Unfiltered, on YouTube as well. But thank you so much, Rav. Really enjoyed it.
Fantastic, mate. And I hope we can do this again soon, mate. Let's make that happen. But to everyone listening, thank you so much as always. Please like and subscribe or leave me a review or a follow on whatever podcast platform you have. Please go check out Mark's channel. Subscribe to him. Follow him. He's got some brilliant Arsenal content. I always learn so much, especially him being in the heart of London. So, Mark, thank you so much for reaching out and making this happen. And on to the next one. Until then, take care, everyone. Look after yourselves. Be kind. And come on, Arsenal.